Ladies and gentlemen, they look at you and see solitude. But what if I told you that being alone doesn't mean being lonely? That in the silence of your own company, a storm of strength is being born? A woman with no friends is often misunderstood. People see the empty seats at the cafe, the quiet walks home, the absence of group photos, and they whisper, "She must be lonely. She must be sad." But what they fail to see is the fire that burns silently inside her. They do not see the courage it takes to stand alone, to hold your own hand when the world seems cold, and to love yourself when no one else will. Being alone is not a punishment, it is a journey. It is in these moments of solitude that a woman discovers her deepest strength, her truest voice, and her unwavering self-worth. When you have no one to lean on, you learn to stand taller. When no one celebrates your victories, you learn to clap for yourself with all your heart. And when the world questions your loneliness, you smile because you know your life is not defined by the number of people around you, but by the courage within you. This journey of being a woman with no friends is not easy. There are nights when the silence feels deafening, when the longing for companionship feels heavy. But it is also in those nights when tears quietly fall that seeds of resilience are planted. You learn to listen to your soul, to trust your instincts, and to honor your own journey. And one day, you will realize that the woman who walked alone became a woman who could never be shaken, who could never be broken, and whose own love became enough. Today, let us explore the path of a woman with no friends, not as a story of sorrow, but as a story of unimaginable strength, growth, and self-discovery. Let us understand the lessons hidden in solitude and how every woman, no matter how alone she may feel, can rise higher than she ever imagined. Solitude is strength, not weakness. Many believe that being alone is a sign of failure or loneliness, that it is something to fear or to run away from. But the truth is, solitude is a silent teacher, a patient mentor that shows a woman her own strength. When the world turns its back, when voices fade, and when the laughter of others seems distant, it is in those quiet moments that a woman discovers the depth of her courage. She realizes that she does not need constant validation or external applause to stand tall, because the strength she seeks has been within her all along. It is in solitude that she faces her fears without distraction, confronts her insecurities without compromise, and begins to understand the limitless power of self-reliance. Being alone allows her to hear the whispers of her own heart clearly, without the interference of others' opinions, without the pressure of social expectations. She starts to see herself as she truly is. Every tear that falls in the silence becomes a lesson in resilience. Every sleepless night a testament to her endurance, and every quiet walk a journey towards self-discovery. The woman who is alone learns that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it is the calm, unshakable belief that no matter what happens outside, she will not fall. She begins to see that solitude is not emptiness, but fullness, a space where her soul grows unbounded. In the absence of companionship, she becomes her own pillar of support. She learns to navigate challenges without leaning on others, to make decisions without seeking approval, and to embrace discomfort without fear. This independence transforms her perspective on life entirely. She no longer fears rejection, she no longer doubts her worth, and she no longer feels incomplete when others are not around. The fire that burns quietly inside her grows brighter every day, fueled by her own determination, her own love, and her unwavering commitment to rise above circumstances. What is often mistaken as loneliness becomes her greatest teacher. She learns that dependence on others is not a necessity for fulfillment, and that the life she desires is not built on people, but on her ability to stand firm in her own truth. Every experience, every moment of solitude, and every challenge faced alone shapes her into someone unbreakable, someone who walks through life with quiet confidence and unwavering courage, because she knows that strength is not borrowed, it is claimed from within, nurtured in silence, and protected by her own heart. Self-love becomes your best friend. When a woman has no friends, she is forced to turn inward. And in that quiet introspection, she discovers the most important relationship of all, the one with herself. Self-love is not selfish, it is survival. It is recognition of her own worth, and it is the realization that no one else's approval can define her value. She learns to speak kindly to herself, to forgive her own mistakes, and to celebrate her own victories without hesitation or guilt. In a world that often judges women for being alone, self-love becomes a sanctuary, a place where she can exist freely, authentically, and unconditionally. Every morning she wakes up and chooses herself over fear, she chooses her dreams over comfort, and she chooses her peace over chaos. She becomes her own cheerleader, clapping loudly for achievements no one else may notice, and nurturing her soul with affirmations, patience, and compassion. She discovers that when the world is quiet, she can hear the quiet voice of her own heart telling her that she is enough, that she is worthy, and that she is deserving of all the beauty life has to offer. The act of loving herself teaches her a resilience that no friendship can replicate, a joy that no external validation can match, and a freedom that no social circle can provide. In the absence of others' companionship, she learns to rely on her own strength and judgment. She sets boundaries, protects her peace, and refuses to allow negativity to penetrate her soul. Self-love becomes her armor, her guide, and her constant companion. She realizes that happiness is not something to be found in others. It is something cultivated inside, nurtured with self-respect, and illuminated with gratitude. Every act of kindness she gives to herself reinforces a belief that she can thrive independently, and every moment she chooses herself over compromise strengthens her sense of empowerment. Ultimately, she understands that friendship with herself is the most enduring, the most reliable, and the most profound. She discovers that by embracing her own love, she becomes unshakable by judgment, radiant in her own skin, and fearless in pursuing the life she wants. Self-love is not an option, it is a lifeline, a path toward inner freedom, and a quiet revolution that empowers her to stand tall, shine brightly, and walk through life knowing that she is her own greatest ally, protector, and source of joy. Solitude brings clarity of purpose. Without the noise of social circles, without the pressure of pleasing others, a woman finds clarity. Solitude strips away distractions and allows her to focus on what truly matters, to see her goals with precision, and to understand her purpose deeply. When she is alone, she can hear the whispers of her soul more clearly, the desires that have long been buried under expectation and obligation. Every decision becomes intentional, every action aligned with her values, and every choice rooted in authenticity. She discovers that living a purposeful life does not require approval. It requires clarity, courage, and commitment to her own truth. Being alone gives her the gift of reflection. She can evaluate her life without external influence, examine her dreams without compromise, and listen to the quiet wisdom that only silence provides. In this clarity, she sees what she must pursue and what she must let go. She identifies habits that no longer serve her, relationships that drain her, and ambitions that ignite her spirit. Solitude is not a void, it is a mirror, reflecting her innermost desires, strengths, and potential. It teaches her to trust herself, to follow her intuition, and to act without hesitation when her heart calls. She also learns that clarity is born not just from thought, but from courage. It takes bravery to confront one's own life, to face the truth of where she stands, and to acknowledge where change is necessary. Yet, in solitude, she learns that she has always been capable of this courage. She realizes that she does not need guidance or permission, because the wisdom she seeks has always been inside her. Every step she takes alone becomes a step toward her purpose, and every moment she spends in reflection strengthens her resolve to pursue a life that is meaningful, fulfilling, and authentic. Ultimately, the clarity she gains in solitude becomes a compass for her entire life. It is in this quiet space that she learns to navigate challenges, make decisions with confidence, and align her actions with her true self. She discovers that while friends may come and go, and opinions may shift like the wind, the clarity she finds within is steady, unwavering, and eternal. It becomes her guide, her anchor, and her most trusted ally in a world that often seeks to distract, diminish, or dilute her light. The power of resilience is born in isolation. Being a woman with no friends is a test of endurance that few understand. Each day presents challenges that feel heavier in silence. Each disappointment lands harder without the comfort of another. And every rejection can feel sharper when there's no one to share the burden. Yet, it is precisely in this isolation that resilience is forged. When she faces difficulties alone, she discovers the depth of her perseverance, the intensity of her determination, and the unbreakable spirit that emerges when survival becomes her only option. Every lonely night becomes a lesson in patience, every unanswered call a lesson in self-reliance, and every moment of doubt an opportunity to grow stronger. She learns to confront adversity without bitterness, to navigate rejection without despair, and to continue moving forward even when the world seems indifferent. Resilience is not built in comfort, it is born in struggle, refined in challenge, and solidified through perseverance. The woman who walks this path alone becomes unshakable because she has faced storms that could have destroyed her, yet chose to rise again and again, without complaint, without expectation, and without reliance on others. Isolation teaches her the value of endurance. She begins to see that hardship is not a sign of weakness, but an invitation to grow. That setbacks are not failures, but opportunities to prove her strength, and that every wound carries within it the seed of resilience. In facing life without the safety net of friends, she discovers that she is capable of more than she ever imagined. She becomes adaptable, courageous, and fearless, understanding that the challenges she meets alone have prepared her to face anything, and that the power within her cannot be diminished by external circumstances. Resilience transforms her from someone who merely survives into someone who thrives. She becomes steadfast in her goals, unwavering in her values, and unmovable in her self-belief. Every obstacle strengthens her resolve. Every moment of isolation hones her inner power. And every experience teaches her that strength is not always visible, but it is always present. She learns that being alone is not a curse, it is a crucible, refining her spirit, amplifying her courage, and awakening a power within her that no friendship, circumstance, or challenge can ever take away. One day, she becomes her own tribe. Eventually, a woman realizes that friendship is not measured by the number of people around her, but by the depth of connection she has with herself. When she stops chasing validation, seeking approval, and fearing solitude, she builds an unbreakable bond with her own soul. She becomes her own confidant, her own mentor, and her own source of joy. Her laughter, her dreams, and her courage belong to her fully, and she learns that being alone does not mean being incomplete. Instead, she discovers that the most profound friendship she could ever have is the one she cultivates within. This transformation is not instant. It is built over countless moments of reflection, self-compassion, and persistence. She learns to honor her emotions without judgment, to trust her decisions without doubt, and to celebrate her victories without waiting for acknowledgement from others. In doing so, she realizes that the love she needs has always been within her reach, waiting for her to recognize its power. When she embraces this truth, she steps into a life filled with freedom, confidence, and authenticity, walking with the assurance that she's never truly alone because she carries herself everywhere she goes. She also understands that being her own tribe does not mean shutting out the world. It means that she no longer depends on the presence of others for her happiness, security, or sense of worth. She is free to form connections that are meaningful, authentic, and reciprocal, while remaining grounded in her own strength. Her life becomes a testament to the power of self-sufficiency, showing that independence and companionship are not mutually exclusive, but that true fulfillment comes first from embracing and celebrating oneself. In this state, she radiates a quiet confidence that draws the right people into her life. people who complement her journey rather than define it. She moves through the world with grace, dignity, and strength, knowing that she has already cultivated the most important relationship of all, the one with herself. One day, she becomes her own tribe, and in doing so, she discovers that solitude was never a weakness, loneliness was never a curse, and being a woman with no friends was simply the path to becoming someone truly extraordinary. In the end, a woman with no friends is not a woman who is lacking, she is a woman who is becoming. Every moment of solitude, every quiet reflection, every challenge faced alone is shaping her into someone unshakable, fearless, and radiant. She learns that the world cannot define her worth, that no absence of companionship can diminish her spirit, and that her own love and resilience are enough to carry her through life's storms. In embracing herself fully, she discovers a freedom that no social circle could ever provide, a clarity that guides every decision, and a strength that rises quietly but powerfully from within. The woman who walks alone becomes a beacon of courage, showing that self-reliance and inner peace are not just survival skills, they are the keys to thriving, even when the world feels distant. Ultimately, being a woman with no friends is not a sentence. It is a journey of transformation. She becomes her own tribe, her own source of joy, and her own greatest supporter in this journey. She realizes that friendship is a gift she first gives to herself, that resilience is forged in moments of isolation, and that purpose and clarity are found in the quiet spaces of her soul. Every tear, every lonely night, and every silent step becomes a testament to her strength, proving that she does not need the world to validate her existence. She learns that the most powerful companion she will ever have is herself. And in embracing this truth, she becomes limitless, unstoppable, and unbreakable, ready to live a life defined not by others, but by the extraordinary power within her.